Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast.
And we get the back view of him. And I mean, it's just a mega.
52 yards is a long shot. Magnum P.I. we named him. No idea.
Just a magnum.
Yeah, just a magnum.
Come on, Cam, last year we said probably 150, mid 150.
Yeah.
Same doe from the morning come out with that 9-pointer.
Here steps out this 90-inch 8-pointer. You're like,
I'm like, okay, well, there's still a buck back there grunting.
Yeah.
And then out steps like another 90-inch 8-pointer. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm like, deer right there.
Yeah, like
and he's already
yards.
30 yards.
Yeah.
He was literally 5 yards from the base of the tree. Could have been, had a buck down at 1:40 in the afternoon, back there deep on public. 3 does come out pretty early. It was like 245, 24-yard shot, sent to combat veteran, and I tell you what, man, dude, it just smoked. We always get so jacked up when the other person kills. It's just almost like we got it done.
Yeah. And when you killed that doe, I was like, hell yeah, man.
And we come down here to Missouri.
I asked Homie one more time. I'm like, is it a good buck? And he goes, yeah, real good, solid buck. I'm like, all right, boom. And the deer just drops. Sure. Super special to me.
Whitetail Legacy Podcast, bringing you back to the hunt and leaving a legacy. Baller Rut.
Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast, still coming in your ear holes. And we're talking some trophy does this episode. We're talking with Brian from the Pike County Trophy Doe Association. This is a serious membership, very hard to get into. It was hard to get him on the show.
It's very hard to get into. 100%.
This guy is top-notch facility, I guess. The whole 9 yards. They're just absolutely killing monster does down there.
I said I need to get my application started to filled out, and he basically just said, "Save your time. It's a waste of time."
Yeah, he's like, "Save your money. You're not
time.
Getting in." I mean, you got to get approved by too many people.
As nicely as you said, just don't waste your time. Is what he said.
We really enjoyed this one. Brian has a really good sense of humor, and he started this page on Instagram and Facebook, right? Both. And I'm not sure they have a Facebook or not. I follow him on Instagram.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we follow him on Instagram. Followed him for like a year and a half now, and love his content and just fun. You know, he's down in Pike County, and you know the big hype around there. That's what everybody hears when they hear Illinois. Oh, it's Pike County, and he's down there making a Trophy Doe Association. So, just for the people that are watching this, again, we are in different clothes and different spots than when we recorded the podcast. So there's going to be a switcheroo on you when we get Brian on the phone. And I'm actually inside. I think it's the first podcast I've ever recorded inside my house. So my kids are in the background. They got some mac and cheese, so they're pretty solid right now. Late as hell for mac and cheese right now. But
right.
They're pretty solid. So we're going to get into this episode. But before we do that, let's get into the people that make it possible. I'm going to start off with Exodus this week. I'm going to hit you with another trail cam tip of the week. Last episode, I talked about getting organized, getting things done. This episode, I want to talk about how you can, if you're going to get your cams out there, maybe think about not getting them out there so early if you're thinking about deer. That's something me and homie are going to have to decide. If you're running for turkey, that's cool. That's something we're going to do this year. Be awesome just to get some strutting video, some different things, figure out when they're out landing out in the fields. But for deer hunting, for velvet, if you run as many cams as we do and you have to cover as many miles as we do, something that we're going to do this year is not put them out as early, because it seems like we get burned out on running cams when it's like the most important time to run cams, because we've already checked them, you know, and ran them 4 or 5 times. So when you have that many, when you have 30 plus cams, and now we're going to have 40 almost this year, It's hard. It's just so time consuming to check those cams. And I know some of them we checked and haven't put up and haven't checked all year, but those ones in your area, you want to check right before season. So we talked about it. We're going to try to wait and maybe cut off one check. So 2 weeks later than we did last year, and just see, because you're out there, it's like 95 degrees, you're pulling cams. just
horrible out there. So it is something that we have talked about, and we are going to probably plan on doing that this year. So moving on here, going to get into Last Breath TV. Something I'm very excited about, something everybody should be excited about, is their launch party is going to be coming July 23rd. It is a Friday night in the Quad Cities. And here over these next few episodes, we are going to explain or break down one thing that we absolutely love about the launch party, because it is damn near unlike any other event that is put on locally, let alone elsewhere that you can go to. So very jacked up about that. We're going to have it this year, and we're going to be able to showcase that for everybody out there tuning in with the Last Breath guys. So very excited about that. We're going to be trying to pound that over the next handful of episodes, get some people in there, get the energy going that it was there a few years ago. So having said that, we're going to get into the episode here with Brian and talking about these trophy does.
All right, guys, we got Brian Johnson from the Pike County Trophy Doe Hunters Association. Can I get do you have a pin if you kill a doe or something? How do I become a member?
We have an application.
I was gonna say the name of that sounds super important.
Yeah, that's super official.
We've got we call it the cabinet. We've got me. I'm the president and founder, and then my friend Jake is our vice president, and then my friend Tim is our secretary of defense. And we call ourselves the cabinet. We make all the decisions in a little checks and balances system.
Nice. That's awesome, dude.
And then we've got Gen Pop members or whatever, just General Assembly. And we've got an actual application to join. We call it the internship application because you don't get to be a member until a year or two after your internship.
I better hurry up and get on the application.
Business. Yeah, I've gotten some people hit me up for it, and it's just I was like, dude, no interest, because to even let you apply, I got to pass it through Tim and Jake. So
this is a strict club,
right?
No one else is alive beside us. I got it. Yeah.
Right, long gone are the good old days when I could just add whoever I wanted to.
Yeah, you can't do that. You got to go. You got to make sure everybody's happy. Don't hurt any feelings. That's important nowadays.
Yeah, so, no. And before, when it was just starting, it was just me and my buddies, and then it got bigger.
Yeah, well, yeah, we found you on Instagram and just followed your page. We love the comedy and just your sense of humor. Of a lot of times you're like, is this guy serious or is he just bullshitting us? And I love people that like that. I can't fully find out. I can't see the cards right off the rip. So I've been following you and have been enjoying it. Listening to you on podcast, and huge shout out to you for working with us. I got called in tonight or to work the last time we tried a podcast and wasn't able to make it happen. So I want to make sure to point to the listeners to know just huge props to you for coming back on after I dropped the ball on having everything lined up. And then the railroad's like, oh yeah, it's time to go. So I just huge appreciation for that.
Yeah, no problem. I know how it is. I got to go into work at the drop of a hat too. So
yeah, I was saying this winter has kicked our ass. Really, I haven't done half the shit I normally do just because I've literally worked. We had almost 12 weekends this year. I probably worked 9 of them.
Yeah, we're Friday night. You're thinking, oh, I ain't got nothing to go on, and then they're like, hey, I need you at work at 10 o'clock, and you're gonna be there till 12 p.m. on Saturday. You're like, oh, cool. You know what I mean? But like I said, just
with your guys' work, is it one of those things where you show up and you just don't really know when you're clocking out?
Yeah. You just show up, and the rule is they can hold you indefinitely. So that's their rule. So if a natural disaster happened or something, they can hold us for a month working, and we can't do anything. So you're off at 3, maybe. And if you can squeak out a minute early, you better squeak. You better squeak fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Disappear.
Well, we want to have you, Don, and talk about multiple different things. But the first thing I want to talk about, I made a post about walking out at night and how it's like you always think you're like carrying shit on your back and something's banging or dragging, and it's pitch black out. You're by yourself, and it's like after the first 100 yards, I said if you don't look back behind you one time, you don't have a soul in your body. You're a stone cold killer if you don't look behind you one time on the way out. You had sent me a story and I was reading it and I was just absolutely dying. So I wanted the listeners to hear that.
All right. Well, it's a 3-part story. All right. The first part is it was early or mid-October, one of the two. And I was hunting on some public ground by my house, and it's in I was walking through this creek bottom, and there's huge hills or bluffs on both sides, but the creek bottom's pretty wide. And I was walking this down north to south, and then I was getting close to my tree because when I'm in the bottom, my Onyx doesn't work that well. So I was getting close to where I thought my tree was, but I kept hearing something behind me, and it was before all the leaves had fallen. So you didn't know, like if it was a month later, I just thought it was some leaves blowing or something. Well, after about 100 or so yards, after turning around every couple feet, it seemed like, I was like, there's no way that there's no way that there isn't something following me. So I finally turn around when I just so happened to be right underneath the tree I wanted to be in anyway. So it was just dumb luck. But I turn around and I just see 2 beady little eyes, and they're probably 20 yards behind me. And we have a stare down for about at least a minute. And then it moves its head, side to side. And then it lets out, ended up being a bobcat. It lets out one of those like snarl screech noises that they make. If you can look it up on YouTube.
Right.
And it was the most blood curdling noise I've ever heard in the woods. And so I start throwing shit at it. I drop all my gear and I just start frantically climbing this tree. And at this point it's circling downwind. So it's like, it's maintaining its distance, but it's going around me. And the tree leans the opposite direction. So I'm keeping looking behind me like that. And I didn't know at the time it was a bobcat until, the sun, because it lingered for like 30 minutes until I could just barely see it enough till I could get my headlamp on it and see what it was. Well, then it went and crawled up and stood on this log in this brush pile and just watched me climb this tree. And the whole time I'm thinking, this thing's going to wait till I get up and it's just going to run up the tree. But, if it could see me, I don't see why it would do that. But I wasn't thinking straight. So then it ended up going up and then crawling, like slinking up the hill, and ended up getting in a fight with a raccoon. At least I think that's what happened. But so ever since then, I'm super edgy. And then fast forward about 3 weeks after I shot my buck, I had shot it at like 2:00, and I got down and it was dark, and I go to find my arrow, and I see these two, like I get to the bottom of the tree and I don't see anything. Or sorry, I was up in the tree and I don't see any eyes, any creatures around me. I get to the bottom of the tree and I look up and there's just eyes everywhere. But there's only one orange set of eyes. So they all ended up being does and fawns, and they kind of worked off. Well, this orange set of eyes just kept fucking getting, I didn't mean to drop that.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
It just kept getting closer and closer and closer. And then I see it's a possum. And I'm sitting there, I'm just trying to find my arrow. And I've got my bow in hand, and this possum is running at me, or it's just like slowly coming at me. And then it runs and it closes the distance about 20 yards, and it's running straight at me. And I've got a high beam headlamp pointed directly in its face, hoping it's just going to play possum at some point. And then it climbs up on this log and lunges at me, like claws out and everything, just lunges at me. So while it's in the air, I drew my bow back and shot it and pegged it to the ground. And I called the CPO after that, and I was like, dude, you were never going to believe what was happening to me. And he's like, dude, I'd have done the same thing. So don't worry about it. So I self-reported myself on that one because I didn't know if I had broken the rule. And so then fast forward again about another 3 weeks, and this is right before shotgun season, I think, is when this next incident happened. I was hunting the private farm that I've been hunting since I was 6 years old. It's about 600 acres, and it's the south half is all river bottoms. And there's coyotes are thick over there. And I coyote hunt quite a bit, but it just seems like I never put a dent in them. But there's three. I know for a fact that there's 3 packs that run on this same property. Whether they live there, I don't know, but I know that there's 3 packs that run this property. Well, I was in the river bottoms, and it's a 1 mile straight shot walk back to the truck. And these coyotes start sounding off behind me. And once I get out of the bottoms, I got to walk through a semi-open field. It's about knee-high, chest-high brush for the most part, like a fallow field. They used to plant it, but they don't anymore. And I'm walking through this lane that was cut in this brush field or whatever. And I look behind me, and there's a whole bunch of coyotes following me out of the river bottoms. And and so I keep looking behind me, and they never got any closer, but they were still following me. And there's probably, I don't know, ballpark 7 or 8 of them. And then, so it's 3/4 of a mile to walk through this bottom field. And then you go up a field road on a hill, and then it opens up into a cornfield up top. And as I'm going up, and this field road that goes up this hill is grown over with trees. So it's like a tunnel. And so it's really dark in there. And I keep turning around, and I keep seeing these eyes, and they're coming up the hill behind me. And then so I crest the hill on top in this cornfield, and it's a really small field. And there's 13 more coyotes waiting in this field up top. And they're just all bouncing around, and they're like, who are you? They're wanting to know what I was, because these coyotes were yipping and shit behind me the whole time. And I get up to the top, and I just start, making all kinds of noise, kicking corn stalks and whatever. And they had already cut it. Well, then I walk around, and then you got to walk back to the truck down this access road. So I get up to this lane, and I'm walking back to the truck, and this field's all connected, but it's in 2 pieces. And I get to the second field, and there's the same gaggle of coyotes had moved over to this side, but there's a real young one that's running or jogging straight at me down the access road to get to the truck. And it was so small, I thought it was a bobcat at first for some reason, or like a stray cat. I didn't know. It was just really small, and it was dark. And then I had my work flashlight. By now, I had started to bring more than one flashlight. So I've got my 2 Infinity candle power flashlight from work, and I'm walking out like this now that I see this mysterious creature, and it's coming at me, and it's not stopping. And then it finally picks its head up and looks at me and turns broadside, and it's a really small coyote. And then once it turns broadside, it cocks its head back and then starts running at me again. So that's what I did again. I pulled the bow back, and I was like, I'm just going to have to shoot this coyote in the head. And I ended up not having to. It ended up running away. But I was like, and that was all in about 6 weeks. 3
Must
near-death
be, like-
experiences in 6 weeks.
Must be consuming a lot of beef jerky or something.
I had no idea, because I know that this one particular farm is a very predator-rich environment. There's just coyotes. There's everything everywhere. And there's been mountain lions spotted, on up and down this particular river quite often. So I never rule anything out.
Yeah.
And my cousin always roasts me because I usually always have a gun on me and like on my belt. And he said, well, what do you need that for? I said, mountain lion defense. So
Yeah, homie's editing a mountain lion footage right now, and he was telling me about it. They ain't no joke, man. Those things are serious.
Mm-hmm.
Vicious as hell.
Years ago, there was a kid spotted one bow hunting like 2 miles from my farm. So
Yeah, on the
and then
farm,
they had trail cameras of it.
on the farm that I grew up hunting, they've had in a 5-year span there was 2 or 3 that were sighted, and they killed them both. And actually, I think one got hit by a car. And it was probably like my very first, second, or third year of like trying to get out of my normal routine, go to different places and hunt. And I was walking in one morning, and down by like where I would normally hunt, I heard the most god awful screech, like you probably had heard. And it was around this time where this cougar was out there and shit. And I'm just like, okay, so I'm just going to haul ass right to my stand. And that was one time that I was definitely like scared for my safety out there. And we do have bobcats out there on that farm. I've seen about 3 or 4 of them now. So I'm not sure back then if it was bobcats or what the hell exactly was going on over there, but definitely a little let you know you're not out there by yourself.
Yeah, I always think that I'm going to see something just taking a snooze in my deer stand when I walk up to it.
Yeah.
Like the stands that I have that are pre-hung, I always, in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm just going to walk up and there's just going to be a curled up, 150-pound Tom mountain lion sitting in my tree stand.
Yeah, my dad's
you can have that one, bro. I'm gonna go somewhere else.
My dad's always gotten in the habit of like shining up there, so you could see an eyeball or something if that was the case. And I don't know, I've just never really done it. I just always whoop. And one day I'm definitely gonna probably get a surprise sooner or later.
You gotta climb up there. That's me a coon. Like,
oh yeah, like I mean, there's coon shit all over up there, So that they're definitely there.
Yeah, definitely up there.
And
chilling.
as many coons as we got on the pieces we're at,
yeah,
the realm of possibilities is going through the roof.
Raccoons killed the batteries on my spy point. There's so many of them.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's near many coon hunters anymore, and they're just maxing out right now. But you were talking about possums. Possums have nothing going on for them, but they are sneaky as hell at night. That's about the only thing they got. Ugly as hell. I don't know what else.
Slow.
I mean, they got nothing going on, but
Slow.
remember the one in the garage, homie? The possum in the garage. We're out talking in my garage, chilling, and then we hear like a little ruckus over there. There's a possum 4 shelves up, zigzagging through my shit, and we caught him, and he's like, oh, they got me. I gotta chill out. I'm like,
oh shit, there's a possum up there.
I'm like, oh shit. Like, look at that thing over there.
I've had coyote calls out before and had possums walk up to my calls.
Dang. Yeah.
I'm like, there's no bugs here for you to eat. What are you doing? What are you doing?
They're munch on a dead animal, so they're eating about whatever they can get.
I'll give you the one thing. You are the first person I've ever heard, read, or anything that a possum attacked. I will give you that. Number 2, bobcats are probably more predatory towards human beings than we ever know about, because most bobcat attacks aren't like publicized.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty common attack to get attacked by a bobcat. But usually more on a turkey hunter front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's towards a turkey hunter than a deer hunter, but
Yeah. I was thinking the whole time, once I knew it was a bobcat, I was thinking, I'm willing to bet in a life or death situation, I could best a bobcat in hand-to-hand combat, but I was not willing to take that chance given the fact that I was in their arena.
All right. What about 3 bobcats?
3 bobcats, I'm toast.
In the dark. 3 bobcats in the dark.
No, 3 bobcats, my old lady is rich.
All right. What about 6 possums in the dark? No weapons other than your fist. And they're vicious. They are vicious.
They're hissing and shit.
I don't know. I bet, 6 possums, I mean, I don't know. Because you say they're not fast, and typically they're not. But this one had some wheels.
Yeah.
Got Usain Bolt possum out there.
Okay, we got 6 very organized, top of the gene possum in the dark. I think I'm out, man.
I'm out on that.
I'll weigh them, but I mean, they're all going to come at me at once. It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough.
These public land possums, dude. Sometimes they're new
exactly.
species.
They're a whole nother. I got ground scented by a public land possums. I will never forget that day that it happened to me. I'm in the tree, like, oh yeah, we didn't bump anything. Good to go. Possum comes in, ground scents, comes right into where I walk and turned right around. I'm like, I just got scented by a possum. We ain't seeing shit today. Public land possums are harder to kill. I don't care what anybody says. Out there when animals attack. That TV show just needs to follow you around, bro.
Right?
Dude. Shit. You ain't wrong. I'm just I'm bad luck Brian. Like my cousin could go kill a fucking deer in the middle of I-72, but if I go put all, I'm just bad luck.
Yeah.
No matter how much I try.
Got to do your best out there. Hell, you got a possum, should have got it mounted. All
No, dude, I was so wigged out that I was like, dude, get me the hell out of here. Oh, that night gets better. Let me retrace back to the night I shot the possum and the deer. My compass was off by 90 degrees. So I'm walking out. I end up walking. I almost walked off of a bluff because I was going. There's one particular ravine I had to take to get back to that creek bottom to go back to the truck. And I was going straight north when I should have been going almost straight west from where I was. And it took me an extra hour or so to get out on top of an already 30 or 40 minute walk.
Yeah, so there was some paranormal activity going on. Your compass is off, possessed possums. There's some weird shit. I always suggest.
I'm not he's out the door.
Yeah,
that deer did not want me to find where it was bedding.
Yeah, that's what it is.
See, Cody, that's my problem. Is my compass is just off 90 degrees. That's my problem.
Yeah. That's what you're gonna say the whole time. You're like, dude, my compass is jacked
It's
right now.
smoked,
What
bro.
is going on? I'm like, oh, you got a compass? No, the compass in my brain, man.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, the North Star was east tonight. I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know what is going on.
Weird how that shit
I
happens
always-
when I'm by myself.
Yeah, I always suggest like right before the rut. I always post that the hunter video, the DVD. I don't know if you've ever watched that before or not, but it is wicked. It's about these 2 guys that are like after this giant deer and they're gonna film it, and they're hunting some ground that's like a house burnt down on or something, and their stands start getting messed with, and then he ends up shooting the deer and he's tracking it and some crazy shit happens. But if you've never watched that and then you watch it and then you walk out of the woods, you're really questioning all the noises.
I better watch it now so that I can forget about it by October.
Yeah, we were on
I think it's
vacation and
called,
Cody's
The
like,
Hunter or something.
yeah, Cody's like, hey man, have you seen that movie where they get all spooked out and shit, deer hunting? I'm like, dude, we just literally left hunting. We're going hunting in the morning. You're trying to get me to watch this movie that you said, oh, dude, it'll wig you out. You will always be looking behind you in the woods. I'm like, hell no, I ain't about to watch it.
Yeah, it's like kind of a cheesy movie. Like it's not like super good acting, but I mean it's decent, but it will. They like go to this house. They're like, oh, there's this old chimney here. I wonder what that is. And what is going on? The listeners cannot see what I just seen, but there was a whole fan that just went through the screen. Did you see that, Brian?
I did. I certainly did. I was wondering.
What?
You little,
Rains? What is going on right now?
You a little hot in the undercarriage?
Yeah. He's like, I gotta get this fan down low.
All right, turn the mic off so the video wouldn't come to me. And the problem is, I'm charging my phone. My phone's getting a little hot. I'm running the audio, running the Zoom. Just got to cool my phone off a little bit here. Everything's good.
Buy a new phone, bro. You got the stimmy hit. Get the phone.
Just killing it off.
God. We are such a high class production. It is insane.
Oh, yeah,
Dude's got this production
quality.
Cool down his phone.
This is elite production quality.
It's elite production. Yeah. We only had the Zoom can't quit on us twice before we started.
Hold on. Hey, 1 second. Be right back.
Yeah. This is normal wiped out legacy. That's what we should have named this thing.
Yeah, just wiped out from the get-go.
Yeah, accidentally changed our name. They knew the truth.
They knew that's what you call destiny.
Yeah, that is destiny. When you write down your name on a paper and they say, wiped out legacy. Like, yeah, that's us. Here we are.
I mean, you can't. I'm like, the third time that they said that, I'm like, are they saying wiped out legacy instead of whitetail?
Yeah.
Sure as shit.
I thought it was like, oh, they're just joking. And then they said it like the 9th time. I'm like, no, they really think that's our name.
Yeah.
But yeah, that movie is solid. It'll get you. You got to get it on DVD. I'm sure it's on Amazon Prime or something. I'm sure, but I don't even have a DVD player. I'd have to like put it in my laptop and hook it up or something.
I got this DVD player for like $8 last year because I bought this brand new fancy TV, and it was on clearance, and the box said that it had a DVD player in it, and it certainly does not.
Damn it.
So I guess that's why I was on clearance.
There you go. Yeah, I like to watch those whitetail adrenaline guys. Love that kind of shit, and only on DVD. So I'm like, I gotta have an HDMI cable to a laptop just to watch that. That's like the only DVD I did watch The Perfect Storm on DVD the other night because I couldn't find that damn movie anywhere, and I was like, I want to watch that movie, The Perfect Storm. It's coming on. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, this year, probably around the time that you were trying to find that buck, you had your first experience with a blood tracking dog.
That was possum night.
That was possum night. Yeah. So you're already worked up from the possum. You didn't need blood tracking done on that. But the buck that you shot, you needed some. And that's something that I've called guys before, but never committed on getting a dog. So what was your first impressions using them this year?
Worth the money. What happened was, let me walk you through the hunt and the shot real quick, and then you'll understand where I even got the dog. So where I was hunting the wrong spot in this particular strip of land. I was hunting the wrong spot based on the time of day I was hunting it. Because I had the trail cam going, the deer were going back and forth from this bedding area down to a water source and then back up on top of this bluff hill thing. But I'd never been up there. So one day I hunted the morning down in the bottoms, and I said, well, I get my camera lights up here, but I haven't ever seen many deer in this spot. So, but I had this one buck that was coming down the hill past my camera at like 7 o'clock every night toward like away from the food toward the bedding area, toward the water. So I went back up there. I found 40 acres of straight up red oak trees. Not a single other tree in the whole, this whole ridge top, straight red oak trees. And then there's some private property right across the fence. So I got up there and I started looking around. I see all these tall, skinny oak trees, and there's acorns everywhere. And I start seeing scrapes the size of car hoods. And I'm like, yeah, this is him. So I just find a tree and climb it. And then 45 minutes into my hunt, I hear crunch, crunch. And then all of a sudden this deer is just walking out of some honeysuckle on this private. And I'm probably only 40 yards from the fence because it's not that wide. And then he just basically walks toward me, turns broadside at 23 yards and starts turning south to go down toward the bedding area. And I just rushed the shot. I couldn't get him. Once I hit him with the meh, he took an extra step, but I had already shot. So it was straight guts. And best case scenario, I would have got liver on exit, but I don't think that that's what happened. So straight guts, sent the picture of the arrow to everyone I knew. They're like, yeah, you need to just sneak out of there and we'll come back in the morning. Well, my cousin and my buddy Devin met me there in the morning, and we looked for 5 or 6 hours, found blood. Then I found it. It was right on the fence row, and I thought he went over onto the neighbor's property. So it took me a couple hours. Finally got a hold of them because they don't live in town. Finally got a hold of them. They said, go over there. So we kept tracking. Blood just dried up. Walked all over hell and creation. Couldn't find it. Couldn't find a deer or any more blood. So I backed out, called a couple buddies. They're like, hey, call this guy out of Effingham. He will, he's the best there is. But he's also very busy. And he does it on donation only. So, but he is running all hours of the day and night, all over the place, tracking for people. And so we are now, when I got a hold of him, we were about 24 hours after the shot. Then he said, dude, I got to go home and take a nap. We've been doing tracks all day. The dog's got to rest. And then I got to go vote. It was election day. He goes, then I got to go vote. I don't know if I'm be able to come out, but I'll call you at like 5 o'clock. So I'm sitting here in the same recliner, and he calls me at like 5 o'clock, and he goes, so we fucking doing this or what? I'm like, hell yeah, brother. I'll meet you at the gas station and, at 7 or whatever. So around 7 or 8, he meets me at the gas station. We go to the spot. We got permission from that landowner to park in that driveway because that house is under construction. He wanted someone to make it look like someone was home so that stuff didn't get messed with. So, and then I told him I was a cop, and he was like, yeah, dude, do whatever you want. So we accessed from that and got on the freshest blood from a direction that we hadn't walked yet, which was, I guess, really important for the dog. And within a matter of minutes, that dog had tracked and found 2 beds that we hadn't found, tracked him basically in a zigzag down a huge ravine, across a creek, up a bluff, made a U-turn down the bluff, because when the guy said, I guarantee you that deer tried to go up that way, couldn't get up, and then turned around. So we made a U-turn, went back up the hill, found another bed, and then we just had like gas station napkins from Casey's in our pocket. We're just throwing them in these beds so we can find them. And then we end up going, and we're like, it's not that big of an area. You can definitely see us. Like we didn't go anywhere that we couldn't see where we had already walked, if that makes sense. So, but we were just doing this weird pattern. Then we end up finding the deer still alive, bedded down in a brush pile. So I was behind them quite a bit because I'm like, he said, just stay out of the way of the dog. Don't get in the way of the lead. Just let him do his thing. There's 3 of us and I'm the caboose, and we're walking up the hill and he's just like, deer. And apparently he goes, I didn't see the rack, but his head was really, really wide. Like his eyes were really wide. His head was huge and his body was huge and he was hurt. I said, okay, well, that's my deer. And then that dog tracked that deer on its ass for another, probably a mile. Up and down, up and down, up and down through the thickest shit known to mankind. Until a mile later, the handler said, we got to call it. This deer's not going to die right now. So we had I was sad sacking it for a while, and then we ended up walking out back the way we came, loaded the dog up. I gave the dude $100, and that was it. They gave me closure that the deer wasn't just laying dead somewhere. And I get off work at a little before 7 a.m. So I was driving that road because where I hunted is really close to where I work. So I would drive that road on the way home looking for crows or whatever, buzzards, like maybe the deer died over here somewhere or something. But never found it. Ended up going back the next day. Just slow roll, just walking through the timber with my bow. In case I happened to find it or found more blood or something. I ended up walking in on a guy hunting the same tree. So I just left. I didn't go back to that spot for another month. After that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I just had a bad taste in my mouth, so I just didn't go back to that spot. But the dog was worth every penny, because I know that if it was just me and my cousin and my buddies walking through the woods, we never would have found those beds. We never would have known which way to go. I guarantee you we never would have found that deer alive, because that deer would have been long gone. And on this particular ground, you can't do track dogs during the daytime. So so we had to do it at night. So that was a kind of a pain, but I think if we would have done it the 2 days later in the daytime, there's a better chance we could have found it. But he said the longest track they've ever had with a successful recovery is like 54 hours. And that's like, he has no idea how that, he doesn't think we shouldn't rely on that type of, on that data. So yeah, he said within 24 hours or 36 hours is ideal. Track still be fresh enough unless it rains or whatever. But
yeah, that's pretty crazy, man. That dog was still the next day was able to go in there and find those beds. And
after we had already walked it all.
Yeah, I mean, you were probably if you, like you said, it was just your buddies out there walking, you probably wouldn't even have got that close to that deer to even see him jump up out of that bed. And then you would have been like, oh, this deer, I don't know what happened. That's what you hear, the story of everybody. And just the amount of knowledge you got for paying that $100 to see how that deer used the terrain in that area when he was injured, that's huge in itself. Just we wanted to have a blood track guy on here just to talk about like what's some of the commonalities that you hear, like the myths of what deer do, go to water, go to this, blah, blah. But like if they've been on 50, 60 hunts, that guy has an idea of like, okay, this deer is about to do this.
He probably does that many in a month.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd like to talk to a guy that and dig into his brain.
When we get off of here, I'll give you his info.
Yeah. Just to be able to be like, hey,
super solid dude.
I think it would benefit anybody that wanted to get a dog or anybody that was just tracking a deer and we've all been there where you put a bad shot on something and you're tracking it and you try and do your best and you go out there and, it always comes down to it went on the property that you couldn't access or you should have got a dog, one or the other, and that's why you lost it. You know what I mean?
I covered my bases all the way around.
Yeah, you did the right thing,
Right, and I made probably 50 phone calls that day trying to get a hold of the guy who owned it, because Onyx didn't have a property owner; it had a company name, but the company name was different than what the actual company was. And then I had to find the guy. Ended up getting a hold of a property manager. That was all I needed. Yeah. And he actually says when you call him, he'll usually make you leave him a voicemail, and he'll say, "This is so and so from whatever track service. Not answering the phone because of this reason. So leave me all this information." He'll list a bunch of information I need before I even call you back. And also, if you think that we're getting close to the neighbor's property, go ahead and get permission from them, or else, we're not going to waste our time.
Yeah, that's good. You hate to have a guy out there and then, oh man, I need to get permission. And then you got to spend 2 hours trying to get a hold of the guy.
Right. And then he's standing there for 2 hours with his thumb in his ass, pissed off at you.
Yeah. And I understand there's always that stigma of, you tracking a deer. There's guys out there hunting. You got to track the deer, but you don't want to ruin their hunt. And you're like, I got to do it, but you feel bad because we had a guy shoot a buck where me and homie hunted, and he walked all through the stuff. And you can't be mad at the guy, because if it was you who shot that deer, he shot him in the shoulder. You got to put every effort you can to find that deer. You know what I mean? But just walking through where someone's hunting and they're sitting in the tree and they've been out there for 4 or 5 hours, you're like, damn it, I just ruined this guy's day. But
that's what I felt like, because I crept up on this dude, or it wasn't the same tree he was hunting that I shot the deer out of. It was the bobcat tree. So I snuck up this creek bed and I got all the way to the bottom of the tree. And then all of a sudden I just see like a whole bunch of sticks going up. And I'm like, and he had no idea I was there. No idea. And I had to like, psst, psst, and like clap. And he finally turned around and he's like, "Oh, hey, what's up, man? I just saw a 4-pointer."
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, if you see a 10-pointer with a hole in him, here's my phone number.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah. It's hard to know though. You got to track the deer, plain and simple. It's just part of it. And that's just
I spent probably 4 total days.
Yeah.
Looking for him. And I even put out a thing on our Facebook group. Me and my cousin may have a Facebook group for public land hunters. And I even put a thing out there. I was like, hey, anyone hunting this area, check the riverbank, the shoreline, whatever, check the roadsides. This is the ballpark area where it was. If you see anything, let me know. And then I got a bunch of people send me DMs that are, they're like, hey, I was out fishing and I think I saw you walking looking for this deer. If that's the area, then yeah, I'll keep an eye out. And no one ever found him, but also every single post on everyone's Facebook for like a month of like, hey, whose deer is this? I would look at the trail cam pictures and I was like, oh, there's like a 4% chance that could be my deer, but I was just trying to convince myself that someone had found it.
Yeah, it's hard to look at like trail cam pictures and then look at a deer and be like, yeah, that's him for sure. Unless he's got like some exact characteristic like a flyer or something that a lot of bucks might not have. But if it's if it's just a mainframe 10, you're like, man, a lot of mainframe 10s look the same. But that's cool that you actually got to watch the dog work. That's something that I hope I don't ever have to call a tracking dog, but I would like to go with someone if they did have to, just to watch them how the deer use the terrain, because you could learn a lot of valuable stuff. And then, like you said, that guy's been on, he's doing 50, 60 in a month. He said that's insane. He's out there.
I guess, it sounds like during October, end of October and all of November, he's several per day.
That's crazy. So what did he say what his success rate was of finding them or anything like that?
No, I guess it's all depends on each situation's different.
Yeah, I know when I called mine, I had put a shot it was a decent shot. It was quartering away hard, and I just kind of wanted their opinion. And the guy asked me, he said, "Do you think it's gut shot?" And I said, "No, I think it's up in there, maybe one lung, guts." And he was like, "Well, if it's gut shot, we'll find it." That's what he told me. He said, "Well, the deer is going to die, and we'll find it." But it might take some time. He said, when we find it, it might still be alive, but we're going to find the deer. So, but I know people that put decent shots on deer and jump them 3 or 4 times, and it's just, they're crazy, man. I think that arrow gets in there, and in our brain, we think it just flies straight as an arrow when it's in there. I think it gets in there and hits stuff and just.
Well, this one zipped right through him, like. No question.
Huh.
And, fixed blade, broadhead, the same arrows I've been shooting forever.
Yeah.
And I found out a couple months later that the guy that I ended up calling, he was recommended by the CPO, a bunch of dudes in this Facebook group, as well as a couple of locals who had used him before and a coworker. And then I found out a couple of months later that he helps Don Higgins out as well.
Oh, nice.
Don
pretty decent.
Don doesn't live far from me.
Nice. Yeah, you're definitely getting around then, getting some exposure. But yeah, we'd love to chat with him, get his message.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's his thing, but I'll definitely give you his phone number for his business phone to see what he's up to.
All right. Well, the Pike County Trophy Doe Hunters Association, is there anything in particular that people should know about it?
Well, really, the way we started was me and my friends, David and Zach, we were over at my cabin, and me and my grandpa have had this place for 20 plus years.
Nice.
We were over there. It was 2015, I believe. And we were over there, and it was Halloween weekend, and we just got back from a Halloween party. And we were all drunk as hell, sleeping on air mattresses on the floor. And there's this really big name outfitter that's right down the road. And I won't say their name because if I did, everyone would know where I was. But we were like, we should just go down to their headquarters. And because we had shot a bunch of does, and we were like, we should just load up the truck with a bunch of does and go down to their headquarters and show them what real deer look like. and we were hammered, and this was just the funniest thing to us at the time. And so we went and we started just rattling off ideas, and we're like, how about the Pike County Trophy Doe Hunters Association? And they were like, light bulb went off. They're like, absolutely. Absolutely. So, and we made these jokes like, oh, we could be a fake outfitter for doe hunts and stuff like that. So when we got back to town the next day, we made our social media accounts, and it's just snowballed from there. It turned into just kind of like a hunting group, I guess. I mean, we can't deny that we're a legitimate hunting group, even if it's only in our own minds. But it's just a bunch of us. We got a group text, and me and my cousin, we started filming our stuff, and his YouTube's pretty sweet, at least for just being year 2. And we have a bunch of inside jokes about, does before bros, putting pussy on the pavement, stuff like that. It's grown to where, just a bunch of my buddies just thought it was hilarious, and they wanted to be in it. And now every year we have a pro staff outing where we call ourselves pro staffers. I think, yeah, this is a hat. We got
nice.
we got merch, and this was made on Microsoft Paint. And
Fire.
and I got a guy that used to be my JV baseball coach that he has a design company, and so he hooks us up with all our merch. And so we started getting hats and shirts and sweatshirts and all kinds of shit made just for us. And every year we go and we do a different apparel order every year, and we get something new. And then every year we meet at my cabin and we just hunt all weekend. And it's only it's not that big. So we're hunting on top of each other, but it's more of the getaway weekend, the weekend with the boys than anything else. And yeah, so and lately in probably the last 2 or 3 years, we've had a lot of success, like a lot. We've killed a lot of good deer. And we say, at least I say it, I was like, antlers are just extra credit. And I told homie that this morning. Mm-hmm. And I was like, dude, antlers are just extra credit. We're just out there to hunt. Just trying to be better, better hunters, learn as much as we can, bounce ideas off each other. We're really into the land management thing now. And we call my property, we call it headquarters. So we all meet at headquarters for a weekend, and we'll put in my food plots and mow and stuff like that. And everyone does their best that they can to help out. Some of them don't live local anymore, but like Zach lives in Oklahoma now. David lives in Wisconsin now. Kyle lives in Iowa. So we don't really have a whole big group that lives around here as much anymore, but we all do our best to maintain my little slice of property, and so that everyone can keep coming back.
Yeah, that's cool, man. We got a bunch of those clubs around here, and I don't know what they do, but that sounds like a badass place to hang out for me. I wish we had a club like that we could go to and have a cabin, and even if it was 40 acres, you just let all your bros go out there and bang on it.
That's what it is. Yeah. I mean, it's an open invitation, because it used to be just me and my grandpa and my dad. Well, then my folks got divorced, and he's been gone for 12 years. And so it's just me and my grandpa. Well, my grandpa's 84, and he's hard, it's hard for him to get around anymore. He doesn't really care about hunting at all. And he had, and his brother's really sick, so he's kind of out of it. He's not really into it right now. He just got other things on his mind. So it's just been me. It's just been me taking care of the place. And the cabin needs a lot of work, but it's to the point where if I'm only over there periodically, then it is what it is. But it's hard to spend $2,000 to replace the floor in a cabin you never go to, or you don't spend a lot of time at.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to maintain it, but I don't ever want to see it go away. So that's what the boys are for.
Nice. Yeah, that's a cool thing that you kind of made a joke. Started out as a joke, but now it's turned out that's actually something pretty valuable, and getting that companionship and learning from each other, and definitely hoping, promoting good things about, antlers just being extra credit. Like I said when we were talking before, there's a lot of guys, and we're serious when it comes to hunting. We like to kill big deer, but there's some guys that take it to a whole new level, and you don't kill every year, you're this. And if you don't kill big deer, you're this. And I feel like there's more and more guys that are coming out like you. And I think the reason it is because people are saying it's okay to be like that. When before, there's very few pages that said, yeah, it's okay to go out and shoot some does. You know what I mean? Go out and have a good time. So props to you for starting the page and promoting just positivity about hunting instead of antlers or size or whatever.
Yeah, we like to keep the page half comedy, half hunting. And our slogan from the beginning has been family, friends, and QDM. So we just want to do what's best for hunting, really. And we all have big time goals. We all want to shoot huge, massive deer and all this stuff, and have all the success in the world. And we do to an extent, but it's not the biggest issue. It's not the most important. The most important is having, 5 to 10 of your boys come for 3 days and drink an exorbitant amount of beer and eat Chef Boyardee out of the can for a couple days and just deer hunt and have a good time.
Have a good time. Just cut loose. That's what it needs. That's what it used to be in the past. You know what I mean? And I think there's a few guys out there that are trying to bring that back, and that's the way it needs to be. I mean, there's times to go out and try to kill the deer, but we had a podcast. Me and homie were trying to think of just some tradition that we could start where it's kind of like that, where we meet up, all the kids hang out, like around shotgun season, have a place to hang out, come drink some beers. Kids are running around. Guy shoots deer that's around here. He brings it over. Everybody checks it out. That's what I want. I want a spot to do that. I think that'd be awesome. Just have a community around it. And I feel like shotgun season, people are a little bit less strict or laid back. You know what I mean? But
when I was a kid, outdoor TV ruined me. I think when I was a freshman in high school, I had double knee surgery, so I couldn't walk for months, and but I crutched out to my deer stand every morning during shotgun season. So I was 15. I was full of piss and vinegar, and I was doing it the hard way. And I'd have my dad drop me off at the road, and I would crutch 3/4 of a mile or a quarter mile or whatever down this road in the pitch black with my gun, all my hunting stuff, and my orange on crutches, getting to my deer stand when I was 15. And then I would climb up my deer stand. I did all day sits because there's no way I'm crutching all the way back and then going back just to eat a cold bowl of soup. Yeah. So I all day sits for 3 days. Anyway, like noon on Sunday, this deer, it was a buck. I thought it was bigger than it was. So they come out of the creek and I'm sitting there. My legs are swollen like you wouldn't believe. And I turn around, I shoot this buck. It runs up a hill, dies in this field, and my grandpa sees it go down. And this is pre-cell phone, so we had little walkie-talkies, but the batteries were dead. And he, when I shoot it and it runs up the hill, I crutch back to the road, and he gets a hold of me and he goes, "Did you shoot the little buck and run up here?" I said, "What do you mean little? That thing's a monster." And I'm crutching through this field, and he pulls up and he's got the deer already on the trailer, and it was like a little basket 7. And I said, "Yeah, well, that's the deer." And ever since then, I felt I didn't feel any bad. I didn't feel bad about myself at all for shooting that deer until I went to school the next day. And everybody in my class, it was my AP algebra or whatever, they say, "Oh, did you go deer hunting? Blah, blah, blah." "Yeah, I got a 7-pointer. And this one nerd who has no idea what he's talking about, he goes, "Yeah, well, there was a girl in my class." He goes, "So-and-so shot an 8-pointer. And then so for, a month or so, I was the crippled kid that got out hunted by a girl.
Oh, damn.
And so ever since then, I was like, I ain't never doing that again. I'm never shooting a little buck as long as I live. Forget that. And then so since then, so that was 15 years ago. So for 15 years, I haven't shot a buck. Okay, I haven't recovered a buck. I've shot plenty. I've shot a couple that I didn't find for one reason or another. Either I missed them, or this past year I wounded it and couldn't find it. But other than that, I wouldn't even pick up my bow for deer that a lot of people would think I was stupid for passing. And in hindsight, I was stupid for passing those deer because I never did the stepping up to, I went from, 80-inch basket racks to now I'm only shooting, deer that make me shit my pants. I never did the in between. And I regret that wholeheartedly because now I'm, I'm a couple months away from 30 and I don't have shit to show for it. And other than a lot of time and money and does. So I wish I would have gone about it differently growing up, but it is what it is. I feel like I'm smarter now because of it, but I just wish I would have more deer to show for it, but whatever. I'm at that point now where
homie did this kind of the same thing where he, seen a big one get shot, then shot a decent one with his bow, and then just held out for an absolute giant and passed on. I was the complete opposite. I killed everything, spikes, fork and horn, 6-pointer. One year during Missouri rifle season, I killed 2 6-pointers, and you couldn't tell a difference in between each one of them. I had them right next to each other. There wasn't a half-inch difference in them by score. Just absolute dinks. And I shot them a day apart. First day shot rifle season, second day rifle season.
Well, you guys know my cousin from I think he was 2 Christmases ago was his episode. Well, he and I have been tight for, not our family's so big that we have cousins we've never met. And but he and I, when I moved back to Illinois, he and I got really, really, really tight. And we started hunting together, and he's the kind of dude where he'll text me, "Hey, I just shot a nice buck." And then I'll get one of 2 responses at later in the afternoon. I'll either get the "never mind, it's a 2-year-old," or I'll get the "holy shit, he's bigger than I thought" text. And I feel like you and him have a lot in common, because it's like, if it looks like a good deer, and I'll just shoot it. But it could go either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's been a lot of deer. I just look at him like, why would you shoot that, you stupid son of a bitch? And then there's a couple times where I'm like, oh my God, how are we going to get this monster out of here? And, but he's 5 years older than me, and he's done it the hard way his whole life. So I learned probably more from him than I do from anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. He's definitely a good hunter, man. He's out there slaying. So
he's just now to the point where he's having success every year, and he just turned 35. So
it takes time, man. People think they can just walk on there, and like me, to being straight, I've said it on this podcast multiple times. My success year after year, it came from property, man. You get a good property with good deer on it, you can kill. You can be dumb and you can kill. Yeah, but you learn every time you kill, you learn so much. And then once you get 2 good bucks under your belt, you're like, man, I'm going to work a little harder. Then you get the 3rd one. Then you're like, damn, I'm going to make sure I kill this year. So I'm going to work extra hard. And then it just compounds. So I think there's a lot more into it. But if a guy can consistently kill year after year, he's got something figured out. So your cousin definitely out there doing it the hard way and killing solid bucks.
Yeah, and he's hunted the same state parks forever.
Yeah.
Since he was a kid, like 14 or whatever. And
that's another thing. I think those years on property, that is huge too. You start figuring a property out after the 3rd, 4th, 5th year. Once you find something that works, it's going to work until something crazy makes it, mess up.
Yeah. And I was the opposite. I didn't hunt really much public at all, because I had me and my grandpa's place. Then I had that 600-acre spot that was closer to my mom's house. So I hunted pretty much just there. And he was always calling me. He's like, dude, come out to my spot. We'll go blah, blah, blah. And then I moved to where I live now, which is twice as far from my place, me and my grandpa's place, and twice as far from where that 600 acres is. But just down the road next to where I work, I've got 20-some thousand acres of public that's broken up into a bunch of pieces. So now, based on just proximity alone, I've started hunting there a lot, and I love that place. Problem is, super hard to figure out.
Yeah.
Right.
But I
Just time, man.
I've put in enough time and effort into maps and walking and all that I got on some good deer this year, and I just happened to wound it instead.
Well, you get on that deer this year. Next year, there's going to be a deer in that area, another solid deer. Big deer like to be in the same areas year after year. The big deer is there, there's a reason. And They'll be there again.
I've got a Magnum. I don't know your guys' Magnum deer. Is there like obviously there's a lot of people that know about it. I've got one of those deer as well. And when we get done recording, I'll show you, because this thing if I ever saw this in on the hoof, oh my God. But I got pictures of it. A camera that I just let soak in a new spot, didn't look at it, didn't go hunt there at all or anything. I go back and look it up and pick it up last month, and this thing's in there for 7 straight days. Wow. And then I found out through the grapevine there's a lot of other people that know about this deer. So it's one of those things where I got to play chess, not checkers.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, let the listeners know where they can find your page and see some comedy and some positivity.
We're on Instagram. It's just P.C.T.D.H.A. That's our primary social media outlet. But if you're going to want to contact me directly, it's P.C.T.D.H.A@gmail.com. If you send us a message on Instagram, there's only about a 50-50 chance you'll get me, because there's about 6 of us that have that password. So, and also check out me and my cousin on Good Sit Productions on YouTube. That's his baby right now. He's doing most of the work on it, but we're going in the right direction. So
yeah, I like it. Yeah.
That's where you can find me. If anything else, I guess just let me know.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on, man.
No problem, dude. Thanks for having me.
If you can't tell, Brian definitely likes to have a fun time with him and his buddies doing this. And, a lot of people take hunting seriously, but them group of guys, I can tell you right now, like to have fun. And a lot of people need to just kind of get back to that, take a step back from, the big buck and having history and, the whole bit, and just realize that, we're not hunting for food necessarily anymore. We're hunting because we enjoy it, and it is a fun time. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was a pretty funny one there to start with. So we appreciate you guys tuning in, and remember to always try to do the right thing, leave a legacy, and Whitetail Legacy is out.